You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the October 18th, 2022 meeting of the LaPorte County continuation of the 2023 budget hearings. You can find more information for this budget hearing by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening. This is a continuation of the LaPorte County Council's 2023 budget hearing. So at this time, I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Sir? You got your mic on?
Here, Mr. Gardner. Howard. Present. Mr. Rosenbaum.
Present.
Mr. Novak.
Present.
Mr. Yagowski.
Present.
Ms. Graham-Marosa, please.
Present.
Mr. Earl Cunningham, please.
Present.
All present, counted for clerk.
Did you do that rotating one this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he skipped somebody.
Thank you. Mr. Cunningham, did you have some business before us?
Mr. President, since the commissioners meet tomorrow and there seems to be some confusion as to the council's position on the bridge, I would like to have a motion of support so that the commissioners know where we stand. That we voted unanimously last year at this time to absolve Mr. Stabos of any responsibility as the State Board of Accounts wrote him up. I think we all agree the bridge has to be fixed. If we start over with an engineering project now, it won't be fixed in March. We know that. So I would like to have a motion of support that we extend the resolution that we passed last, absorbing any responsibility for another year.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any questions? This one, just so everybody understands, this is the item that we had on our agenda last month that we sent back to the commissioners. So, and it would actually have to come before us at our November meeting for advertisement and funding.
Mr. President, could I ask the commissioner, is it, oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Sorry. The commissioner is present. Mr. Haney, come up just for a second, please. Mr. Haney, I know that there was a lot of disagreement last time. Do you think that we have pretty much, if the council does this, that we would have the commissioner's approval on it too?
It's my hope. Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen, and Councilwoman Graham-Marosa. Thank you. I appreciate you taking this up tonight. I know it's not part of your thing. It's my hope that it is. I think there was some confusion at the last commissioner meeting over what the kind of the intent of the council was. I think starting over with one of the paths that the commissioners were talking about was basically starting over with a different organization. Over the past several days, I became aware of the proposal from WJE and the other companies involved here that was out on September 9th. So I went ahead and I requested a copy of that because I wasn't given one, so I didn't have that information at the last meeting. But I reached out to WJE. I spoke with their head engineer, Paul Bandlow. He filled me in on the issue with the tail locks and the control arm gates, especially some of the issues that we had, and the concern that these are in the process of failing, and they likely won't survive another season, basically, to paraphrase what he said. So I know I'm supportive of, last year we had a lot of spirited debate back and forth about this, but we came to, kind of an agreement and a consensus that phase one last year, phase two this year. So I think that moving forward with phase two this year makes sense. I know I support. I put in a lot of groundwork these last couple of days and over the weekend trying to make sure that we have something here, so that there's no confusion. When it comes before the commission tomorrow night, that we need to get that bridge taken care of, and then my position would be that if I have any input in setting the agenda next year, that I will work.
Hang on one second. Somebody's trying to. I think the auditor's trying to get in.
Sure. So I will pledge to, if I have any input on setting the agenda next year, to work hand in hand with the council next year in first quarter, not wait till fourth quarter, but work first quarter next year in getting a permanent solution and plan together so that we can have several months starting at the very beginning of the year, plan out exactly what we're going to do, have a joint committee together, however you guys would like it composed of, and have something together and done by summer, not fall, but before the end of summer, so that we can move forward with a plan, have whatever parts we need done, do whatever process we need to do. Now, unfortunately, having not received what was sent out in early September until just a couple days ago, I apologize for being before you here tonight, but
Thank you.
kind of is what it is. So
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Mr. Haney.
Appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Haney, you would agree that the three tentacles to the solution here is the engineering firm, Harrison Electric, and Marquis Electric.
I would.
Harrison Manufacturing, basically.
Yes.
And if we're going to change engineering firms, it's going to delay things beyond next March.
Correct. So part of my conversations I had with WJE and Paul Bandlow, the head engineer there, is that considering this other firm, they don't have any experience apparently with not just bascule bridges, but really any real movable bridges. And the process that it takes for any engineering firm to come in fresh and start, it's probably looking at about 9 months to come up with the initial study in engineering and then developing the plan. And he would anticipate, for example, just like if WJE came in brand new, fresh on a plan, that it would take them, year and a half before any work could actually begin. He anticipates that would be at least the same thing with his other company. And nothing against the other company. They do great work. It's just that we had this conversation last year about the importance of having people who know the bridge and who are familiar with these types of bridges.
So that was a discussion we had last year. So, and I agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking 9-10 months to get yourself even up to par with it, realistically, we're not talking spring of next year for the following year. So we're looking at utilizing this the same company.
2025, yeah.
We're on the same page, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I also want to echo, it's my understanding that the engineering firm, this is my understanding, so, and I didn't attend the commissioners meeting, but it's my understanding that the engineering firm that would need to be hired if it was to go out to bid would have to design the plans and do all the stuff that goes into it, because every nut and bolt would need to be accounted for, so that other people that aren't familiar with the bridge know exactly what they're looking for and what they're doing. So I'm not sure if they were looking to switch engineering firms totally, or a firm that would be able to take it out to bid, create the bids for them. So I don't know. But did you have something?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I also wanted to make note that the request or the motion of support is because in order to fix the bridge, there's going to have to be another emergency declaration based upon what we've been learning as the items that you have mentioned are at a good chance of failure, and rather than having them fail and not have a bridge that's in working order and us paying 4 times the amount for the parts to be manufactured and still wait 4 months for it or longer, this is the best option to maintain that bridge, but an emergency declaration is going to have to be declared.
Is Mr. Stables one?
Either that or special purchase.
What's that? Oh, go ahead. Connie?
I just wanted to say this was something that we planned like 2 years ago. We were talking about this, and I know that they proposed a 5-year program where a 5-year program where we were going to put X amount of dollars into this. And I don't know why or what got held up that we're sitting on this, but it's definitely something that we really have to address.
It's my understanding the council never approved the 5-year plan, so
Right.
that's what happened with the 5-year plan. So, did you have something? Nope. Mr. Stabos, are you on? Auditor Stabos?
Sure.
Can you? I just want for the record that if we proceed with this, that just to confirm that the bills would be paid.
I got in the meeting at 5:05, so I'm not sure what I missed. Is this? I haven't heard. This is all new to me. I thought the council was going in a direction of seeking bids. The council's. This is the first time hearing the council's now going in the direction of not seeking bids. I thought I wasn't going to have to worry about this issue. So you'll have to explain it to me now publicly, because I didn't see any emails or anything about the change. Your last council meeting, I thought that was the direction the council was going in.
Mr. Auditor, Commissioner Haney here. So right before you joined the Zoom call, Councilman Cunningham made a motion to extend in regards to the bridge, to extend the motion of support slash, I don't know if absolution is the right word, but the one that was used last year to cover the work being done for phase 1 of the bridge, to extend that over to year 2. So you may have missed that if you joined a little bit on in the call. So the point here is that unfortunately I had not received up until the past couple of days the full contract and proposal from WJE, Marquis and Harrison Electric in regards to the bridge. It was sent out earlier in September, and unfortunately I didn't get it until just the past couple of days. I still actually haven't officially gotten it from my fellow commissioners, but in any event, I spent the past couple days and the weekend speaking directly with WJE, Paul Bandlow, the folks at Marquis, and others here on the council as well, trying to get a solution for the failing tail locks on the Michigan City Bridge. This is in the same spirit of what we all had spirited debate on last year. But the alternative is going with a different firm to bid it out that's going to push us out into 2024, maybe 2025, before we could actually start work on fixing the bridge. From the direction from WJE as well, the tail locks themselves and the actuators are in the process of failing. And he's very concerned that going through the winter that these devices will not, when they try and open them and actuate them in the spring, they're more than likely going to fail. So this is part of what we spoke about last year carrying into this year, but hopefully that, in a nutshell, condensing hours and hours of conversations I've had over the past couple of days, hopefully that condenses it down for you.
Is there any reason then? Is there any reason then that there can't be? I'm getting feedback here. An emergency declaration? Is that what's going to happen or not? Or it doesn't quite constitute an emergency, but it's a potential emergency that.
Correct.
So you can't declare it emergency.
If that's the will of the council, I personally think it would fit under that, as the chances of the Michigan City Bridge opening in the spring are highly suspect if something's not done here over the winter. And
is either attorney from council or commission comfortable declaring this an emergency or not? I guess that's the first question I'd ask.
Mr. President.
Turn your mic on. Turn your mic.
Sorry, Mr. President. I don't. Go ahead. I don't recall this being an emergency last year. I think there was a question about bidding.
Right, it's a specialty.
Yeah, it was a special purchase statute.
Let's don't. I think we should not misconstrue the fact. All we're doing is that we would give an absolution to to Tim.
We'd use the same process as last year.
Yeah. So
And that wasn't my question. I understand you're looking to use the same process as last year. If you want to use the same process as last year, I will entertain that, but it needs to be my language in your resolution and not your language. And I also want the resolution to come from the commission as well. The State Board of Accounts has been clear on this. I don't take lightly going against them, but at the same time, if council and commission both assert in a way that it's comfortable to me, not comfortable with your language where you're ordering me essentially last year, and it created it was a low watermark in our relationship, quite frankly. But where I am, you use the language absolved, but I want it acknowledged. I don't want an attorney, denying that the State Board of Accounts has said that it's not a special purchase and pretending it is. I want it acknowledged in the resolution by the council. Leave the commission attorney out of it. In essence, acknowledge the State Board of Accounts is saying that this is not a special purchase. But we want you to move forward anyway because we believe this is what's best for the people of LaPorte County. 4-year relationship with Marquis. So we need to come up with a language together that I'm comfortable with, and that this is really an extraordinary circumstance, even if it doesn't meet the technical definition of emergency declaration.
No.
So that the public can have confidence, and so that that I can feel comfortable that with this as well. So,
Mr. Stabos,
yeah.
Councilman Cunningham here. Tomorrow evening, the commissioners meet. This is the last time we're going to meet before they meet. And at this point in time, they are talking about hiring another brand new engineering firm. The majority of this council, I believe, disagrees with that completely because we know the time restraints will not allow that bridge to be fixed by next March. And at this point in time, our attorney's not present. All we're trying to do is give a,
He's on Zoom.
okay, Mr. DiMartino is on Zoom, but he's not capable of writing a resolution this evening.
Sure.
Get us from here to our next meeting next Monday. I merely propose that we extend the resolution that we had a year ago to take to the commissioners. We don't even have this on our agenda this evening. We're just giving a motion of support so that the commissioners can at least reconsider their position tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. If they don't do that, it's a moot point. Is that your interpretation, Mr. Novak?
Absolutely.
Well, but it, I guess point of order is, I don't understand, right? Just tell us what you want. And if you don't want to use absolution, what word would you like, Mr. Staples? Let's just put it out there and I'm okay with it. Just give me a word.
Well,
Let's don't muddy it.
It
Let's don't muddy it up.
it worked last year. Why wouldn't it work this year?
I didn't say it wouldn't work. I'd say that I want the language to be different than what it was
But
in
it's-
what you.
But here's the thing,
way you
it's,
phrased it.
it's the council's decision. So I firmly believe that by the council voting tonight and by the commissioners voting, you are abstained from any wrongdoing. We're the ones taking the action. Knowing
I'm just asking
where
for
it
a
is.
signed. I'm just asking for a signed resolution, a resolution by the council
We didn't give you a
requesting
resolution last year,
Yeah, we did.
did we?
a signed resolution.
We voted
Signed resolution.
7-0.
It wasn't a signed resolution. It was
signed,
It was
wasn't
a.
a physical document.
So I think we
A
can. come up
copy of the document that we voted 7-0 on. Correct.
Okay, well, then
I
we
gave,
did.
I
Okay.
gave Vaughn a copy of the resolution a year ago, right?
Well, I'm talking about the attorney drawing it up as a resolution that's signed by the
You know,
council.
time is of the essence this evening. We don't have time for the attorney to draw it up and physically have a copy.
We're willing to do exactly what we did last year. Short of that, we're not gonna go into negotiations back and forth to figure out how to draft the resolution so that it's everything. It'd be the same as what we had last year.
I'd have to look at that again. I'm not sure. I'm
All right.
that the form of absolution or the form of request. I want the council and the commission to take responsibility for an acknowledgement that the auditor has a State Board of Accounts letter that says it's a public works project and needs to go out to bid.
Tim, Tim, what would you like it to say?
I don't know. I mean, I
I don't
don't
know. How do you
I'm
expect
finding-
us to know?
I'm finding out. I don't know right this minute at a public meeting what it is, but I'm sure we can work it out in an expeditious fashion with your attorney and the commission's attorney. I won't even ask to have my own attorney. I should technically have my own attorney, and you guys should respectfully do a motion of
That's gonna
support.
take longer than if we went out to bid.
No, it won't.
Oh my
No, it
gosh,
won't.
come on.
No,
It's the
no,
same as
don't even
last
say
year,
that.
Tim. We're not asking you to do any more than you did last year. Nothing happened, everything was fine.
This is where it becomes problematic because you become contemptuous and disrespectful, and
wasn't
I'm not
that
playing
wasn't
games.
disrespectful.
I'm just saying that I want a phraseology that I get to have some say in. That's all. That could be
Motion
That could be
before,
put
Mr.
together.
President.
Mr. President, real quick, Tim Staples, myself and you and Joe Haney met, and we had a 2-hour discussion on this prior to this. We didn't just throw this at you last year. I was at that meeting with you, and we had a nice discussion. You admit it was a nice discussion. We got things that we got accomplished at our meeting. So I take disrespect to the idea that we threw it at you. I spent 2 hours with my time to meet with you and Mr. Haney last year.
I'm not talking about a year ago. I'm talking right now, Councilman.
What you said last year about disrespect. There was no disrespect last year.
Okay, let's not debate that. Let's not even go there. At the meetings, there was disrespect. The notion was that something was going to be crammed down my throat. Frankly, the way I felt.
All right, let's stick to where we are. So you're not moving on your position. You're not willing to do what we did last year.
I didn't say I'm not willing to do it. I'm saying that I would want the council to pass the resolution acknowledging its understanding that I have a statement from the State Board of Accounts. Why not have your attorney sent? I guess that would take too long to have the attorney. And why is this happening now? As Councilwoman Grammarosa, I think, said, well, why wasn't this planned earlier? Why is it another desperate situation? Oh my God. we're just finding this out now. I mean, I resent that, frankly. That
Mr. Haney, could you explain to him about the lead time of engineering, please?
Mr. Otter, Commissioner Haney here. So what the work that we're talking about being done is the same work that we talked about last year, is simply phase 2 of that. One of the issues is, and you may have missed it because you joined into the meeting a few minutes late when I was speaking, but this proposal was sent to the commissioners on September 9th. Unfortunately, it was never sent to me by my fellow commissioners, and I only became aware of it as the situation for the bridge continued to develop. I started tracking down all the original sources and going to the source and asking what their plan was, why we might need additional engineering and all this other stuff. And in the course of those conversations, one of the gentlemen I was speaking to said, well, he seemed a little confused, and he said, well, you're asking me questions. Most of the questions you're asking me are all contained in the proposal we sent over. And of course, my response to him was, what proposal? So I still technically haven't received the proposal from the fellow commissioners. But the point is, I became aware of it at the very end of last week, and I spent all this weekend talking with a number of folks. I sent you a couple messages as well this weekend, over the past couple days. Unfortunately, what we have here is that Commissioner Mateus has put us behind the 8 ball here. Instead of dealing with this back in the beginning of September, we're now in the middle of October.
Let's not.
Sure.
We're here to do business. We're not. This isn't a political event. All right.
We're not.
please do not accuse him of being political.
Mr. Stabos, I'll run the meeting. I'll run the meeting.
Where we were a year ago, where you alienate people.
Stop. Now.
Yeah, you stop, sir. Because I'm not going to let you treat me like you did a year ago.
Let's please.
Mute him.
Please,
Yeah,
everyone.
mute him.
Let's please. In any event, I understand the frustration. And again, I'm sorry I'm here tonight. I would have been here 6 weeks ago had this information been received timely to me. In any event, whether you want to use special purchase, whatever the desire of the council is, whether you want to use special purchase statute or what, considering the timeframes and the lead times for everything else, I think under this circumstance, I'm obviously not an attorney, but under this circumstance, this may actually be considered an emergency at this point, because a bridge, there's no way to get another engineering firm in here, I don't believe. And from the experts I've talked to, there's no way to get a separate engineering firm in here to do the engineering work to get the bridge, to get these tail locks and actuators fixed before spring.
We have our attorney now, so that it could be emergency.
So these special purchase issues may be relevant if it's decided to be an emergency. And I'm not an attorney to know for sure if it is or not, but if there's no way for another engineering firm to get this done before then, the only way to move forward would be with the.
This is the same conversation we had last year. We weren't sure if it was going to be emergency or not. Mr. Guy DiMartino, does this constitute an emergency?
Well, I heard Mr. Haney say that the engineering firm said that these parts are about ready to go. I would like to see that in writing. I would like to see something from the engineering firm saying these parts are not going to, when we go to start up the bridge again in the fall, there's a high likelihood they're going to fail. And then we have our constraints with the Coast Guard that we have to, meet. But I heard Mr. Haney say that, but I think you would need to see that information from them before you all decide to declare it an emergency.
Did you have a problem last year with special purchase?
Mark, I remember we looked at special purchasing last year, and that was a heated debate. And if we're going to be working on resolutions that support, what Mr. Stavos wants, that's not something we can do on the fly tonight. It's just not something that we can do on the fly tonight.
My question wasn't that. My question, do you have a problem?
I'm sorry, but I didn't hear the question.
Do you have a problem with special purchase? Oh, sorry. Do you have a problem with special purchase language?
Do I have a problem with special purchase?
That we used last year, yes.
Well, there was a problem with it last year. And so if we're not going to all be on board, the council and the commission and the auditor supporting all this, we're going to be in the same position that we're in as last year.
Okay, but legally, when you looked it over last year, did you have a problem with special purchase?
I thought that we were really stretching the envelope last year with special purchase. as to the parts that were going to be made fit squarely in it. But as to the ancillary stuff around that, I thought that we had that it was a difficult time, but it was a quasi emergency also.
But you couldn't separate everything out, so.
We couldn't separate it out. That was the issue. Yes.
Mr. Stables, did you have your hand up?
I agree with that characterization of Attorney DiMartino. I think that the whole thing about this is that it's a quasi-emergency, and that's what you've got. It would be nice if the attorneys were comfortable enough themselves taking the pipe and making the legal opinion that it's a special purchase based upon an emergency, as opposed to the other reasons, because the State Board of Accounts told us the other reasons didn't apply, and that's a public works project. And the emergency provisions are ironclad and clear cut and 100% defensible from a legal standpoint.
For what it's worth, I have a little bit of that verbiage you asked for, or someone had asked for, as far as failing parts.
Right.
It says here, I'm just going to skim through this here. It talks about mechanical electrical work completed earlier this year. They talk about the new improvements for increased system reliability, improved control of the moving bascule leaves, and eliminate the chance of shock loading from the sudden application of brakes that did not meet these standards. There's a bunch of letters there. Although the system reliability has improved, there maintain reliability issues with tail locks and traffic gates, and aging and longevity issues with that existing bridge control system and motor control center. It is our understanding that the vast majority of callouts of the bridge are related to failures of the tail locks of the gates. When these failures occur, significant delays, and then they go on to talk about how they propose a priority to provide the engineering services to replace the existing control gates and tail locks to improve system reliability, and there's a lot more here.
Mr. Haney?
Yes.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but if we're going to be talking about the engineer, what I would specifically want to hear from them would be that more likely than not, if this does not get repaired during this downtime in the season, that we're going to have a failure of those accentuators come spring. If they can say that, I think that will support.
Okay.
And I agree with that.
I think you can obtain that between now and tomorrow night's meeting, can't you, Mr. Heaney?
I hope
Via email. And Mr. Mark, when I talked to
I would think so. I would hope so. I'm not sure.
talked to Andy Marquis this morning, maybe beginning this afternoon, and he agrees with that 100%. He said, we can't tell you we're going to open in March if we don't do some work.
Yeah.
But he's not. But we would want it from the engineer.
I agree. He's been in communication with the engineer. I'm just saying, I think the engineer
Be
could
the one to get it.
email that to you, and you could have it in your hands for the meeting tomorrow night.
Sure. I can send that email out this evening.
Let me say this. That's what I would be most comfortable with as the auditor, is that type of declaration. That having been said, I am willing to view myself and my role as exclusively ministerial, so to speak, and making a payment, even if it's not declared an emergency. But I want it to be clear who is taking responsibility for the actions. I want a signed resolution by both council and commission. It's a monumental action to pay a bill for a claim over $1 million when the State Board of Accounts is saying $150,000 or more needs to be bid out. I respect where the council and commission are coming from on this, and the nature of the 40-year relationship that Marquis has with this bridge. I don't take it lightly. It's all important that none of us play politics with this issue. But I do think that for me to be legitimate in this action, the council needs to show the weightiness of a signed resolution from it and the commission saying, we understand the opinion received from the State Board of Accounts regarding these matters, but we are requesting you move forward because this is what's best for the population of LaPorte County, the public of LaPorte County, and the lowest cost. But hopefully the emergency declaration can be what happens here, and that's a slam dunk. That bill gets paid.
Mr. Cunningham.
Mr. President, I would like to change my resolution to use the terminology
Motion.
motion of support, because we can't have a real motion tonight. We'll do it Monday, correct? But the commissioners need to know tomorrow. Motion of support to have a resolution absolving the auditor of any wrongdoing in the event that those have to be paid to fix the Franklin Street Bridge, whether it's an emergency or a special purchase. I would say it as emergency / special purchase, one or the other, both.
But I believe for it to be, and I don't mean to without a second, but I just wanted to clarify with Mr. Our attorney that we actually have to declare it an emergency. So I don't know that you could say pick or choose. We have to say that it's emergency / that this is what it is. It's an emergency / special purchase. And correct, Mr.
Well, so the question that Mr. Yagowski asked was, are you comfortable with the special purchase statute? And I specifically said, I am comfortable with the special purchase statute as to the parts that need to be made. But the ancillary services, the electrical, that just doesn't seem to fit into that. But what I heard tonight was that the engineering firm says that this bridge ain't gonna work when we start it up next year because of the accentuators and because of other parts of it. If we can get an opinion from them saying that, I think that, well, the emergency declaration could be done by the council president and the commission president as to the emergency declaration as to that. And as to Mr. Stabos, I mean, he's not, in this matter, he's not going off and doing things on his own in the auditor's office. He's following the lead of the council and the commission. So the buck's going to stop with the two governing bodies, with the executive branch and you, the legislative branch.
But
So-
if we do a motion of, if we declared an emergency, it still comes back to the council for a vote of support afterwards. So
and to fund, and you could petition to fund it. I mean, you don't need that done this week, right? I mean, you just need to have a method in which to move forward, right?
Yes, I agree with the statement he made. I agree with the statement he made, our attorney made. I've used it once when I was president, used it once as your president. No, you don't have to come back. What you do is that if they declare emergency, they can get you as a president to declare it.
we still have to fund it.
We have to fund is another conversation, but you can go along with the commissioners as a president and declare emergency without the council.
But that's if it's truly an emergency and if the engineer is going to support that.
Right.
That's up to the bodies to do that.
I think that's why Mr. Cunningham stated his motion that way, correct, Mr. Cunningham?
Yeah. Second, does Connie want to second it?
Is there a second?
She's second. She's second it.
Connie seconded the original.
I know, that's why
She can't hear.
you're muted. Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'll second that motion. Do we have to withdraw the first motion?
Yeah, and you withdraw, they both
Withdraw.
withdraw their motions. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So would you like to just restate that real quick, Mr. Cunningham?
You're just going to amend your initial motion, right, Mr. Cunningham?
That would be the easiest, is to amend it instead of using the resolution for a special purchase. Use the previous resolution for emergency / special purchase.
I'll second.
You good with that? Ms. Kramer?
Yes, I'll second. I'll second.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion of support passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty then. So just so everybody knows, and I apologize that took so long, but there's a 6 o'clock meeting in here tonight, so this is a short meeting. So at this time, let's bring the highway department up to talk to them, so.
Good evening. I got the handout here to show you. We kind of broke it down before we spoke with the different percentages. So that kind of way you have an idea of what we're talking about. This is, broke it down to 20.
Mr. President,
Mr. Yagowski.
speaking with Mr. Rosenbaum, we're going to have to probably we're going to have to hold this off till Monday because the fact that their classification is the same classification as other employees out here. So we're going to have to find a way to separate the department to give this raise, reclassify the right. So they're classified like other employees that are, for example, that work maintenance has the same classification as you guys do. So we got to find a way to separate it.
Okay.
So I don't, we won't be able to vote on tonight because we have, and I talked with some people that's unfortunately,
Sure.
Mr. Roosevelt was able to find out that you have the same LTs.
Their LTC classifications 2, 3, and 4, and there are other people, other departments in the county.
2, 3, and 4.
And you're the ones who are having the hiring issue, and we want to address that. We want to also thank those working for being underpaid for 20 years and give them what their due is. But we can't just give everybody equal due. So, I'm going to, I don't know if we should do this or not, to make a motion of support.
Oh, so we on Monday.
Or just move it to Monday, but I know that I'm going to be looking to make a motion of support for the 20%. And I would hope that the other people would support that as well. But we have to technically do the reclassification first.
Okay.
And this money is going to be coming out of your lit, so because we can't sustain it under the MVH because after 7 years we'll use everything up.
Right.
So that was not the easy answer. So that was another thing that came up that we had to resolve as well. So we're trying to do all the right things in a very good timing, and I want everybody to hear that it's not just a simple, oh yes, automatic, because there are consequences for not doing our homework and not taking care of your department directly. And so that is why we've come to this conclusion at this time.
Okay.
And I really don't want to,
We're not prolonging it.
Right. So this going to take place at Monday's meeting. Then is going to be.
We got to do some digging and
we got to find out what we have to do to get the reclassifications.
we got to
first.
figure it out.
So that being said, though, can we do like a motion of support then for our 20% this evening? And that carries over, or how do we go about that then?
It's a Monday because we don't have.
We don't have the reclassification.
We don't have the classes.
So you got to do that first. That's this stuff.
I really think it's the proper, and
We're putting a cart before the horse type thing. We can't do
but
that.
we're having the discussion.
Okay.
This is the workshop. So
Okay. Very good.
But we know we got to do something for you guys. So
Okay.
all right.
So that'll be on the agenda then for Monday.
just
for
and it's only
reclassification.
what's that?
It's not the agenda. We have a meeting before Monday, so it's not the Monday meeting.
Oh, okay.
We have another
5 o'clock.
budget workshop.
Okay.
It's the same thing. It's ongoing.
Sure.
It's not just a end of a meeting.
Understand.
Just give us till Monday to figure it out.
Okay. Very good. All right.
Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Health Department.
Good evening,
Good evening.
council people.
I believe
Thank you.
you emailed this out to everybody.
I did email that out to everybody. There were 4 pages to cover all of my people. You know what our issues have been with getting and retaining nurses. So what I did on my budget was working within the current comment impact schedule. My proposal was a 5% increase for everybody, and then looking at surrounding counties and other counties in Indiana that are of similar size and population to us, looking at what their starting and base salaries are, moved nurses up essentially from there would be a step 5 to get them at the starting as the surrounding counties, and to hopefully retain those nurses. And same thing with our environmental health specialist. I guess I was ahead of the curve on that one, looking at again the other counties in the areas and their starting salaries, getting them up to that same level. So my overall increase in budget was for salaries was 9.3%, as an increase of 109,000 over last year's budget for salaries.
9.63.
9.63. Yes, sir.
And that brings the nurses and the environmental health people in a good spot.
Yeah, I believe
Better
so.
spot?
A much better spot. Looking forward, doing a workforce assessment now currently with Department of Health, and looking in the next 3-4 years, I have a good 5 to 7 people who are going to be retiring and having to replace those specialty areas. I'm not going to be able to do it. There's other counties out there. I believe it's Hancock County. Before the pandemic, they had 18 full-time employees, and now they have 9 because of their starting salaries. They have not been able to replace their nurses. Some of them they're administrators, some of them they're environmental health specialists. So that would be my request. And trying to be reasonable and stay within, trying to be reasonable.
Sure you guys.
I understand where you try to do apples and oranges, that you try to say that, we can't find anybody for this reason. If we would go up this 9.62%, the benefit you do have over this is that I know a lot of nurses, you go in, they send you home, in hospitals and so on and so forth. They have, the count of the patients and so on and so forth. You have a full-time job, they're gonna be working, days on, things like that. There are benefits to work for your department if you're a nurse / if you have like the last 5 years you wanna do that thing, that are tired of the rigmarole. There is no benefit, people don't come to you because that's a better thing to do than get sent home out of the hospital every time?
I don't understand what you mean by me sent home from a hospital.
Hospital's got a thing they do by patient load. So they send so many people coming in. So if their patient load goes down, they send people home for the day. It happens all the time. So they don't, they have different situations. It'd be nice to, at some point, I guess, in their career, to come and to work at a day job where they're, it's a lot less stressful, and there's, in that type of nature than it is in those type of things.
You would think so, but we're not even getting applications. I've had it even before the pandemic. I've had one nurse position that's been open for over 2 years, and the last 6 months, I've gotten 1 or 2 applications. One of them didn't work out. They ended up having to resign. When we did hire them on, other applicants come in, and we may or get a interview every now and then, and offer them position, and 2 days later they pull out because they found something else that was paying better at the same hours. I'm not sure where those hours are, if it was in a doctor's office or a clinic someplace, but similar hours, but much more money.
Okay, yes.
I mean, if I could get it to where I could just get applications in, to have a pool to pull from would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Or even, before that, we would get a nurse or 2 straight out of school, their first position, their first job outside of school, and stay a year or 2 and then leave. And that whole training process starts over. Once we get them in a good position and turn them out themselves, we're right back to square one.
Okay.
It's just getting them and retaining them and just getting
You
applicants.
answered my question. I appreciate it.
I think the proposal seems reasonable for the schooling and the requirements on this position. So, I mean, it's not like an entry-level position for somebody straight off the street or something. I mean, there's some specialty skills here, so.
Yes, I mean, there's a number of licenses, certificates that need to be held, and trainings that have to go through to be able to even take those positions.
Thank you.
And ongoing education.
It's a pleasure. You want to hold it over till Monday?
Monday, I have to do it for Monday if we can.
Monday.
I got a question though. You mentioned classification of 5 moving. You lost me on that one. Could you?
Yeah, so I don't know if it means moving them up to a step 5. I'm not necessarily asking to move them to that classification, but that's what it would be, staying within that schedule.
Oh,
staying
okay.
Within that PAT and COMAT schedule.
Yeah, without moving them, but just,
Without creating something from scratch from the beginning to give us our own special.
Right.
because that would be the job classification committee anyway to move them. Yeah, okay.
Correct,
All right, thank you.
sir.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much.
Are the judges here in support of you? Is that what they're here in support of you? I didn't ask. Oh.
Yes.
Asking a question. All right, JV, you literally got like 5 minutes, and I apologize, but
Here's the deal. Obviously, we have a center.
you got to talk into Mike. Judge.
We have a center, and we are doing things outside the center with the staff because we repurpose them. But however, we have a nurse position that's empty because they went to work for the health department because they can do easy work desk job 8 hours a day as opposed to well, let's put it this way, the nurse at the juvenile center is kind of a high contact, high hazardous duty kind of a job, and it's all hours and you never know, and there's no way we're going to hire one for $43,000, and we could jeopardize losing our license for the shelter care that brings us $700 a day per kid from the DCS, which amounts to about $600,000 a year. But anyway, I saw this chart and I've corrected it. That last column with fringe benefits makes no sense. In reality, most of your fringe benefits are fixed because it's the cost of your health insurance. So the only increase in fringe benefits would be 18.85% of whatever the raise you give. So in this case, on the first page at the 10% raise, where it said it would cost you $227,000 to raise everybody's salary at the Juvenile Services Center, the fringe benefit increase is 18.85% of that, or $42,843.22. And it would be the same ratio if you went for the 15 or 20 or 20%. That fringe benefit might be the total number of fringe benefits you're paying, but the only changes in it would be the non-fixed portion of it that's dependent on the salary, which would be the PERF and the FICA. So that's in the instance of the first page, that's 42,000 for the total of that last column would be. We're down about 8 people, and that's after we've, as you know, I've repurposed some people there to begin with. It's to the point now also when we don't have a nurse that our community supervisors are getting all kinds of weird overtime comp time because we're now having to take every kid to the hospital. We're, in addition to everything else, our shift people are, I had to go and basically try to lift everybody's spirits last week because they're pretty low down there, and that's of the people that are remaining. I think we're going to look at I'm going to try to provide you with a FIDA study that shows how much other counties are getting paid for these same positions. There's no reclassification necessary. Everybody's a poll, just like at the jail, just like at the community corrections. They're public safety jobs, and we would hope that we would share in the public safety tax increase. Any questions?
Just to clarify, where we at with the reclassifying the nurse? Was that ever completed, or
That's on your agenda for Monday.
right? Okay.
I just put in a plug today.
Yeah, I got one question. I know it's been talked about, and that's what the 2 cooks I see we got out there.
Well, that's hey, if you want to take that off our hand and find somebody that will cook that food for us, service, I don't have a problem with it.
Sure.
The problem is that you have to meet those DOE
Special diets, but I know that was going to be looked into. I don't know if it has been. I think it should be either get one way or the other.
The last suggestion I got was from Earl, and that was to talk to the schools about it. Right.
Right.
So we'll.
Because I know the sheriff.
I haven't done that, but I will. Huh?
Looked into it. The sheriff at one time looked into it, and it wasn't working.
We were
the vendor that we have now in the kitchen.
That wouldn't do the kids, no, because of the
All right.
nutritional guidelines. So,
All right.
anything else?
Anything else? We'll hold that over till Monday.
Thank you.
Also.
Hey, that's real quick. I'm sorry, Mr. Alves. So you mentioned the other centers. How are they though with the population? Are they
Well, it varies, and we'll show.
Okay. You're gonna compare
I'll try to find some that are
population-wise? Okay.
Thank you. And then we've moved people, like for example, so as we get more people on GPS, etc., so we've kind of moved residential people into those roles and whatever. At this point, because we're so low, everybody's doing everybody's job basically.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to recess and reconvene Monday at 5 p.m.
Okay, you aren't gonna get, I thought the sheriff's department had a presentation.
You got a question? Wait, Sheriff has a question?
Well, no, it was on the mechanics, along with the county highway, yeah.
All right, you got 1 minute, Sheriff.
Right, just for edification's sake, though, when we looked at privatizing the food service in our jail, that was one of the proposals that was presented to do the juvenile services center as well. I think it was agreed that it was just going to be too expensive to do it that way, but certainly we would be open to the option of expanding our kitchen services to provide meals at the juvenile services center. Right now, they only have 4 kids out there. I don't see that it would be that much of a problem.
Well, we also have
The nutrition, it's a different meal, isn't it?
classrooms too.
Well, they can eat at the school then.
Well,
Just like all the other kids do.
All the more reason why we should ask the school to provide.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good idea. All right, thank you.
What? Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Okay.
Done it.
We are here, thank you for allowing us a little bit of time to talk about our civil division and our support staff and advocating for them, specifically our mechanics and our administrative assistants. And I have some information I'd like to pass out to you guys as well. But primarily, you know, I took this position over as a major about 6 months ago and got to evaluate, you know, these really special employees. And, you know, primarily and shamefully, I'm embarrassed to admit my ignorance as to all that they do. And that they're amazing individuals. And obviously, I can't do a full presentation for you because we're limited on time, but I can tell you that we can't do our job without them, the support staff. And things that I've seen, just amazing individuals. But you know, some stats, even with our garage guys, you know, in 1983 we only had 3 mechanics. In 39 years, 39 years later, in 1983, excuse me, we only had 42 vehicles that they serviced in 1983. 42 years later, I'm sorry, 39 years later, they are now up to 140 vehicles. Back in the day, they only serviced sheriff's office vehicles. Now they service sheriff's office, EMS, weights and measures, building maintenance, hazmat, emergency management, juvenile center, LaPorte County commissioners, community corrections, coroner's office, building inspectors, animal patrol, prosecutor's office, and the work release center. And I may have missed some. This equates to over 300% increase in the last 39 years. But they are more unique than the private sector. In addition to knowing all aspects of vehicle maintenance and repair, our mechanics have additional training qualifications pertaining to emergency vehicles. Our mechanics regularly maintain and commonly repair special medical equipment associated with the ambulance. Our mechanics are far more versed on special electronics, radio systems, body camera systems that we just implemented over a year ago compared to private system mechanics. Mechanics have and continue to respond to calls off duty. They know that they have to be 24/7 if needed. Our mechanics assist with snow removal. Our state board of account records will show these guys don't take any time off, and even during the pandemic, they didn't take any time off. We as first responders, and I said this to my brothers and sisters in EMS, fire, they all know we can't do our job without our mechanics. They're unbelievable. They save LaPorte County money by all the maintenance that they do, and of course the resale value of our vehicles. I can go on and on about mechanics, but our administrative assistants, Becky, Lisa, Janine, our new assistant Julie Buckva, but our civil employees, our civil division, some of these ladies have been there for over 40 years. And we have failed, when I say we, the county has failed with over 27 years, we stopped paying them. This is something that we talk about with longevity pay. And some of these ladies, they stop at a certain point, but they continue to work at that same level. I mean, they do get raises over the time period. We are asking for an increase for them as well, a substantial increase to address their value as well as the inflationary issue that we're all plagued by. And I could go on and on about these ladies and these mechanics. I know we're limited on time, but with your permission, I'd like to give you these so you can.
Absolutely, and then what we'll do is Monday, when we start again at 5 o'clock, we'll let you go, if you got more to talk about, we'll absolutely let you talk more.
That's fine, sir.
We appreciate it though.
Thank you very much for your time.
Does that have a total cost on there too?
Yes.
All right, right.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to recess. Thank you.